Okay, y'all. I woke up early to watch this episode, and well, I didn't watch it when it first came out, but I did get up at 5. And y'all, it was so early that I forgot to take notes. So I feel like my whole review about to be me rambling for real. Or maybe I just talk about the parts that stuck out to me. Okay, y'all. Let's start off with the obvious. How did we get from Tiff being a person of interest? The police come, they raid her house, they find nothing. Toussaint goes back to visit Bakari to ask him for more info. He said he don't have no more info. He gives her a recording of the voice note about Zay, right? And then they go to Tiff's house and arrest Tiff, and she got the baby in her arm. And Trig is panicking. And Trig, and she tells Trig to take the baby and go in the house, call her lawyer. He says, no, I did it. Hand Tiff the baby back, and they arrest him and take him to jail. Then we see Fatima visit him and say, choose yourself. I know you didn't do this. You gotta save yourself. And then we see Reg speaking to Toussaint saying, I did it. And then she says to him, how do I know you just not saying this to get your brother out of jail? And he tells her he know where the body at. And then they go and excavate the body from the ground. And she arrests him. I'm sorry. I'm processing in real time, guys. I don't understand how any of that happened. I'm so confused. Like, in my mind, everything was flowing up until that point. I was just like, that don't make sense. And maybe once the show is over, they'll have somebody explain that part, you know, to make us understand, because we all knew anyway that Toussaint wanted to get Reg. That was like her number one thing. But my point is, I don't understand why Toussaint has to make an arrest. I understand that was her confidential informant and everything. But when she went and sat down with Nuck last season, or in season 6, no, it was last season, and she told him, you know, cops and robbers go together all the time, you know, I need you to help me do this to take down Reg. Right? Nook was never able to do that. So I just don't understand how all of this came about. Because to me, it was a lot of stuff going on in the city, and a lot of people was dropping like flies. So Toussaint bypassed Nook doing all that stuff, because since Nook had become Toussaint confidential informant, Nook killed that dude that was working for him, who we never knew his name, but he told him to stop being flashy. He took him out. He had taken Rob out. He took Zeke out. He was responsible for Alicia dying. and he was responsible for Zay dying. So and then it's just like Reg taking the blame for Trig because he wanted this to make him closer to his brothers. But then I'm like torn because I'm just like, okay, well, we had Jake go to Reg to tell him to let Bakari go. Right? We had Jake tell Reg to let Bakari go and get him to stop working for him. Right? Just for Trig to be on board for blaming Bakari for a crime that he didn't do, but Jake didn't know that. Why didn't Jake ever find that out? Because I don't feel like that was right. Because I feel like at the end of the day, regardless of whatever Shad had going on with Reg still respected Shad enough because he was like, that's my brother, man. You know what I'm saying? And so I feel like Reg letting Bakari go was out of respect for Jake because that was his man. So we don't get that same dealing with. I do appreciate Bakari. I mean, we saw the scene with Tiff pulling the piece out on Bakari. And Trig basically telling her to, you know, put it down, you know, we don't got to do it like this. And Bakari saying, well, you just gonna have to do it. If you got to, do what you got to do. But he was just like, I'm not taking the fall for something I didn't do. So I'm just like, you know? And then I'm just like, okay. So Reg taking the blame. Now, Reg gonna have to get out because they don't have no proof that Reg did it. He just admitted to it. So if they don't find no evidence, is he gonna get off? Like, so we just gonna end the show with Reg doing the bid? You know, and I don't even like Reg. Reg was one of my least favorite characters on the show because I just didn't like him. But I'm just like, we saw the scene with the brothers, and I'm just like, Reg just got back in good with the brothers. So in order for, and then Jake said, you owe me. And I'm like, he owe you? What you mean he owe you? You owe, like, what? I'm missing something. It's not clicking for me. Like, how did we get to Jake saying Reg owed him? He was just like, well, go talk to him. And then we didn't even see Reg go talk to Trig. And I'm just like, well, in order for Reg to have known where the body was at, he had to have told Trig the whole plan. And so Trig let him take the fall for it. Yeah, I'm gonna need somebody to break that down to me like I'm 5. I want to know what was the logic when the episode was written behind that. I'm interested to hear that logic because I don't know, y'all. I don't know. And then Tiff. Okay. Tiff getting off for taking out Nook. My God. So Emmett finally told Keisha about what Tiff did. Also, y'all, I like when the episode ended and they went and got Nook out that ground. I went back to my thought was, okay, Emmett told Keisha, right? Emmett told Keisha that Tiff offed Nook, right? This was after he had a dream where he met his mom and he was asking his mom for advice because he said he got something to tell Keisha. Mind you, this is off the back of it being said earlier in the season when Darnell said that Jada talks to him and visits him all the time. And then Emmett said that I haven't seen her yet. She hasn't come to visit me. And so Jada visited Emmett and told Emmett basically to tell Keisha the truth that she will understand. So Emmett is dreaming or talking in his sleep. Keisha wakes up, wake him up, asks him is he okay. A tear rolls down his face and he tells her the truth, right? This part messed me up as like an analytical TV watcher, right? Keisha says, how long have you known? Emmett says a week. I'm like, a week? That's it? So all of this time has been over a week? 5 episodes have been over a week? So we done had an engagement party, a bachelorette party, and a wedding. We're going to have a wedding. All in the course of 1 week. So then I tell my husband, I was like, that can't be right. Now I know it was a time jump. After the episode, after Tiff took out Nook, it was a time jump. I said, go back to the episode in the beginning and see how long of a time it was in between her burying Nook and then the party. So it had been 1 week. So if he said he knew for 1 week, that means it has been 2 weeks since Nook had perished. Here I am thinking, if they planning a wedding, I'm not thinking they planning a wedding in 2 weeks. I'm thinking some months had gone by. It had only been 2 weeks. So here I am thinking, Shay ain't seen her child in months. It had only been maybe 2-3 weeks since she dropped him off at the door. Maybe a month, tops. She came to get him. And Devontae said he don't want to go nowhere. Nook had only been dead 2 weeks. That time. And usually when I'm watching a show, I'm a stickler for time, like time markers. Because I need to know what season it is, what time of day it is, between this episode and this episode, what's the time frame. I'm a stickler for that. Marvel made me that way. But it had only been 2 weeks. So, Shad still don't know. So, Bakari had that whole talk with Shad. It didn't tell Shad nothing. So, is Shad even gonna find out? Did Shad even know that Trig went to jail? Ain't nobody told Shad nothing. Shad just in the dark. But I guess that was supposed to be Trig's way of protecting Shad because Shad said he ain't going back. I mean, even if Shaw knew, he wouldn't have been going for that because Shaw wasn't around, but still. And what's Shaw gonna say when he find out Reg is in jail? And Bakari had a whole, Shaw and Bakari had a whole sit down. Bakari was at Nook's place. So Shaw ain't think to ask why Bakari was at Nook's place, packing 3 boxes for a duffel bag's worth of stuff he put in a drawer. What all is you taking, Bakari? Like, Shaw ain't asked nothing. He ain't told Shaw nothing. Then Shaw has Bakari come to the center to meet the kids because the kids saw Shaw reading Bakari's book and they wanted to know who the author was. And so Bakari then came down to the center to meet the kids. That was meaningful. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, about time we see this book again because we ain't seen him talk about the book or say nothing since episode 2. And then I feel like they're trying to play with us because I feel like they set us up for Bakari to, we think he finally finna make it. He packed his boxes and they packed her bags, you know, everything's good. He confronted Tiff. Tiff ain't do nothing to him. You know, Trig basically was like, let him go. All for everything that seemed to be working out. And he actually is leaving. He tells Shaw he's leaving. And then next week, if we go to that wedding, and then when the wedding over, Rafi come around that corner and take Bakari out, I'm gonna be no one good. Then another part that just didn't go right to me was Emmett told Keisha that Tiff off Nook because Nook off Rob. I felt like Keisha should have been a little bit more understanding. I've been saying for episodes, when they showed that flashback of Tiff and Keisha, I've been saying for episodes, I don't even know how they even became friends, first of all. Second of all, I don't even know why they was friends. I always thought that dynamic was weird. Third of all, that flashback showed me that what I felt was true because I'm just like, why was they ever friends anyway? And Keisha was just like, I don't think I can be friends with you no more. I don't even want to talk to you. I don't even want you to pay for our wedding no more. I was like, now Keisha, don't go too far now. The least she could do this last thing is pay for y'all wedding. She did take out the father of your child, even though the father of your child took out the father of her child. Keisha was like, so is this why you was paying for everything? I would have liked a little bit more of a dialogue between Keisha and Tiff about that. Because, I don't know. I feel like they could have reached an understanding. But also, Emmett was like, or was you saying this to protect, I think, Trig or Tiff? Something she said, something Keisha said to Emmett. And she was just like, maybe that's how. Oh, what she said was, so she just been smiling in my face this whole time. And Emmett said that's probably how she felt about Nook. And I was like, you know what, Emmett, I'm with you when you're right. Because that is a very valid point to bring up. Because he indeed was smiling in her face, playing maintenance man, fixing stuff around the house, going to get her junk food, going to get her snacks, being her bodyguard, dang near being her baby stepdaddy. just for her to find out, no, kill Rob. You know what I mean? Like, that's crazy. But yeah, I would have liked a little bit more dialogue between Keisha and Tiff, because I feel like that conversation could have been a little bit more deeper. Because they just, you know, they just cried a little bit, and then Keisha walked out. I also would have liked to see a scene, and it may still happen next episode. Who knows? Maybe not, because it's the last episode. I would have liked to see Emmett and Tiff talk about that. Because can you imagine being in Emmett's shoes? I mean, I know a lot of people were saying like Emmett owed it to Keisha to tell her the truth. And, you know, to tell her first, because that was going to be his wife, and that's the mother of his child. And I do agree. But I also feel like it put him in a hard place, because Tiff is his ex-wife, yes, but that still is the mother of his child. So if he was to throw her under the bus, that would still affect him, and it would still affect their family dynamic. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, in order for him to have peace, for the most part, or in his eyes, the mother of his children will be getting along. You know what I mean? And speaking of that, that made me think also about, saying that made me think about when Shay was at the house, and Shay was like, oh, congratulations to you two on getting married. And then Keisha asked Shay, is this what that's about? Like, you come to get Devontae because you found out we getting married. And she was like, don't nobody want his cheating self. Now I'm like, now how we get here, Shay? Because I thought you and Keisha was cool. Like, you was around at the Mother's Day thing, you know, when all of them was together. And then, you know, you made it sound like you was cool when y'all had spent time together prior. You know what I'm saying? And then, like, I thought the moms was cool. Like, we seen Shay be with Cash's mama, I forgot her name, but the first son's mom, which she ain't even showed up. So we just got Emmett with all his kids. We done seen EJ this season. We done seen Jada. We done seen Devontae. We done even seen Emmett with Ronnie. And where Cash is at? Y'all just said forget Cassius? Darnell gave Shaw his house. Shaw was very appreciative. He said, I can't just take your house for free. Darnell was like, well, maybe we can work out a payment plan or something. I'm happy for Shaw. This is what I wanted for Shaw. I wanted him to have a redemption story, because he had been in jail. He been trying to get it right. We seen Smitty approach Keith, because basically they wanted Keith's girlfriend to give them street candy, but Keith told Smitty that she wasn't in the business of doing that no more. So I'm just like, so you got rid of Tiff because you said you couldn't trust her, just to go and use a plug that Reg was using, and y'all won't like him? Okay. What else? Oh, Angie went and bailed Smitty out of jail with the money that Hannibal left her. So I'm just like, so we just ain't gonna see Hannibal pop up at all? Smitty asked her where she get the money from. She said he left her an emergency fund. So I'm just like, so he in witness protection, and so you just don't speak to him? I don't know. I talked about Bakari and Lene. I talked about Bakari going to visit the boys. I talked about Shad and Bakari. I talked about Shred, Reg. So Papa said he was going to stop at the party that Jake was hosting. You know, the one Desiree got on him about, because he needs to grieve. He needs to take time for himself. Jake said he got to get to the money. He said Peach is going to her heavenly home. Don't stop life. He still got to live. He still got to get this paper. So we didn't see him tell Papa, but Papa goes to him and asks him how's he's doing. Golly, I just feel like we lost their friendship. Like, they were so tight. We haven't seen them be tight in a long time. And I know they grew up, but I'm just like, he was still tight with Bakari. Like, he was still, you know what I'm saying? Papa said he gonna stop doing the Mary Jane flower. He said because he ain't doing nothing but just, you know, using it as a crutch. The same way Jake was trying to use work as a crutch. He said they need to sit down and deal with their feelings. I'm happy to see Papa make it because I just knew that when we saw Papa purchase that street candy, it was over for him. But Papa is gonna live, so I'm glad to see that he's gonna make it because I just knew it was over for him. I was like, he going down a destructive road. We didn't even get to see him going down his road of healing. We seen him go down the path of destruction, but we didn't get to see him go down his path of healing. But glad to know he healing nonetheless. What else? I'm glad that they let Devontae, you know, speak his piece. He said he didn't want to leave his friends. Cause I don't know, I wasn't too happy with Shay trying to snatch him. Cause I'm just like, why you keep asking them if, you know, they trying to make him say this, make him say that. Like, he not 12 and he got, you know, he can speak for himself. He's old enough to understand, you know, things that's going on. And he likes being somewhere. You know, I'm glad that she finally was able to sit down and listen to him and give him the choice of where he wanted to be. He's been with her for a long time. And then it's just like you ask Emmett to step in to be the father, get him on the right path. He doing good, he on the right path, and you just try to come and snatch him out. I mean, I understand, like, it was her son and she felt like, you know, but I'm just like, you know, you give Emmett his time, you know what I'm saying? You said, you know, they always just say Emmett was a bad baby father, you know? And I remember when she fussed Emmett clean out a couple seasons ago. Oh, my God. So now Emmett's finally doing what he's supposed to do. And it's just like, dang, now you want to just come snatch the son away? Yeah, y'all. I think that's all I have for this review. I'm just interested to see what's going to happen in episode 10. This episode didn't do what I expected it to do, but nonetheless, I mean, I don't know. I was expecting something crazy. Nothing crazy really happened. Only one thing that I didn't understand, and that was Reg taking the fall for Trig and Tiff. So yeah, I'll be back next week, y'all, for episode 10. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll be back with more videos. Deuces.